Welcome to the Northwest ARCA Series. It is playoff racing here tonight as we are going to race number 2 of the round of 12 here at Indianapolis Oval. It's our second week at Indy and we are excited for it. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Wesley Outland. Wesley, we got to see road course racing last week and now it's time to see how these drivers contest at the Oval course.
Yeah, I'm ready to see what these guys can do here on the world's greatest race course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We saw the road course last week, and of course we saw the sheer dominance of Kevin Smith. He finally prevailed on Wednesday night, winning the road course for the Truck Series in his first career Northwest event, moving himself into the championship, round of 8 as well. We saw Lake Peterson do the same thing in the Cup cars. This momentum now moves back to round track racing. There's going to be strategy here. I believe one of the things we talked about before we signed off on Wednesday night was returning back to road course racing, now back to the oval, and in doing so, fuel strategy. Who can pick the right time to pit? Who can conserve fuel? That's going to be something we're going to watch here tonight, and we'll see if maybe Kevin Smith can try to sweep the road course and the big speedway. He is on a wealth of momentum lately.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he could try to sweep the whole entire round if he really wanted to. This 00 has been on a hot streak. I mean, getting the win last week at the road course for the ARCA Series as well as for the trucks. When he was put the practice into the road course, now it's time to see if he put the practice into the oval as well. And a lot of other drivers looking to try to challenge that of Kevin Smith, looking at such as Ryan Bloom and a couple of other drivers that are now a lot more comfortable coming to the oval course. I know most of our 12 drivers that were in the playoffs, when I talked to them last week, it was all about, we don't know how the road course is going to go. Well, now it's in your rearview mirror. It's all about these next 3 races where, Wesley, we got, the Indy Oval, we then go to Iowa, and then we find ourselves also going to Atlanta. So the drivers, they've got 3 distinctive different courses to attack here for the rest of the round of 12 before we cut it down to the round of 8.
And, one of the things that we can also talk about is the opportunity where drivers on the Northwest Cup and Truck Series on the big national level for the iRacing program, Samuel, they have the opportunity to run in the Northwest ARCA Series development program. And honestly, I think it's a great idea, not only because you're learning to race with new competitors, but also you might struggle the last time you were at Iowa or the last time we were at Charlotte or the last time we were at Atlanta earlier in the year. Take advantage of these practice sessions, glorified sparring, if you will, a race, and they can give you the opportunity, like we saw what Kevin Smith did. He comes so close to winning the Cup race on Monday, had a little hiccup on the restart, going through turns 1 and 2 in the S's, and he said, hey, that damage on Brightman's car cost me the race, and of course we saw Lake Peterson win. The same can be said about what he did on Wednesday in the truck event. Take advantage of these ARCA races, and I think it's awesome that these drivers of the Northwest Cup and Truck Series, Samuel, are being able to run this event. It's making the development drivers become better competitors, and of course it's also lessons for the big stars.
Yeah, and some of the big stars also gained some help, like Sean Bradson. We got to see the development for himself from the ARCA Series to the Cups and finishing out with a great run in the Truck Series. Well, we're going to step aside. We're going to give big thanks to our major sponsors at Tom Denchel, and then we'll be back going to the track side to get ready for the Indianapolis race here tonight for the ARCA Series. We'll be right back in a few.
Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, right? Our Ram trucks, truck of the year, amazing trucks. We have fun Jeeps, and then the exciting Dodge and Chrysler products. Lots of performance there, lots of excitement there. They've done a great job in really creating a full scope product line that could suit everybody's needs. Whether it's a family vehicle or a fun vehicle or a utility type vehicle or a big truck, we've got it all for our customers.
Big thanks to Tom Denchel's Auto Group. They've got inventory. If you are looking for a vehicle, they've got it. As you can see, qualifying coming to a close, which means we got to get prepared for the race. We're going to look at a race for 1-1 to get a check and see how the race is looking like. Drivers had a 30-minute practice. They're finishing up qualifying right now. And then 90 laps of racing. Wesley, it's going to be a long, grueling race for all these drivers here tonight. And you touched on it. Fuel mileage might be the key for tonight's race.
And Samuel, another thing that actually we talked about during pre-race as well was the fact that What, 90 laps? Wow, that's a lot for our ARCA race, for our ARCA team. This is their chance to shine for sure. But again, there's that strategy. There's the preparation for obviously making these pit stops. It is the playoffs. If you had me as a pit reporter like last year, Samuel, and you said, what's your keys to the race? First off, you got to stay out of trouble. Number two, pit stops. You got to be flawless on pit lane, on, off, and during your pit stops. Don't get no penalties. And secondly, who can be able to conserve tires and most of all fuel? Because I do believe down the stretch, it will be a fuel mileage conservation to decide the winner here tonight at Indy.
Yeah, fuel and tires going to be major things as the driver's only going to be having 4 sets for tonight's race. The one they start the race off and 3 sets in pit road. So they got to pick and choose when they want to use those sets as qualifying's come to a close here shortly. We're going to take a look at the weather that the drivers had for qualifying. Ambient temperature 75 degrees, around 8 or less miles per hour for winds, but it's partly cloudy. We're expecting the track to develop. We'll take another look at the weather, sponsored by Sawblade.com. And track temp 94 degrees. It's a little bit on the hotter side, which means these drivers, we could be seeing them slipping and sliding on the exits of these corners.
It is for sure. And I mean, you know, the track temperature almost double what the ambient virtual temperature is outside. Wind is not as windy as it was. Remember how windy it was, Samuel, last week for the ARCA race? It was close to 20 miles an hour. Now it's nice and comfortable. But that track temp, going to be something they're going to keep an eye on. We'll watch it here tonight as these drivers work their way around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, the wind last week was incredible. I mean, I don't think I've seen a track be that windy in any other race. It was over 20 miles per hour at times, but I mean, coming to Indy, drivers are getting excited. We're getting excited as well as you see the timer ticking down. 90 laps, and we're looking at a fuel range of around 30 to 35 laps for fuel. So this race looking to be a 2-stopper. So that means the drivers really got to stay focused on what we were talking about. Pit stops going to be a key, and when you come in, how do you want to strategize? Those are going to be some of the biggest factors to watch out for as Wesley, as we're getting ready for the drivers to grid up. This course, Indy, 4 distinct corners that all kind of feel very different from one another.
Field getting set to go. You're exactly right. Of course, the thing you got to remember about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's 2.5 miles. You have the same exact straightaway distance on both the front and the back. The short chute between 1 to 2 and 3 and 4 is exactly the same. If you ever looked at the aerial view of this racetrack, kind of like when I flew back in here to Indianapolis back in May for the Indy 500, Samuel, it looks like a rectangle. It's a rectangle type racetrack. I know it's an oval, but it does look like a rectangle or a square, if you will, with all these pointed edges, the straights, the corners. It's a very exciting track. They call it the short chute between 1 to 2 and 3 and 4. But again, every part of this racetrack is evenly matched. This is going to be fun. This is going to be exciting. We're about to have some fun, ARCA style. Friday night, the playoffs on LSRTV. We're ready for it.
Yeah, we are ready for it. You hear the music. It's about to get grid time as drivers lining up and getting prepared. And top of the board, pole sitter, going to be that of Sean Bridesman with Toby Ritters in the 23 to his outside. As we drop back to row number 2 for your team 1-6 Racing grid, it's going to be that of Dennis Moore and Ryan Bloom in the 25. During practice, saw Ryan Bloom be the 2nd fastest and Dennis Moore being the 3rd fastest. So those are 2 drivers to watch out as we fall back to row number 3. Looking at some more of these drivers, Jeff Stabnow coming in, just getting more experience, and Robert Gamble, one of the drivers we thought had a chance to win at the road course last week. Well, he's got a second shot here at the Indy Roval for the 54. As we continue to look through the field, you got James Vining in the 333, the Catman, going to be on the inside, but to his outside, going to be that of Frank Harris. Harris had a very tough week during the Indy Road course for the 11. We'll see if he can find any momentum as we're moving forward into the playoffs. As we drop back to row number 5, you've got that of Troy Daggett in the 51, and the man that won last week in dominating fashion for the ARCA and for the trucks. You've got Kevin Smith at a 00. We'll see if Kevin Smith can carry on as we throw it over to you, Wesley.
Row number 6 will find Judd Wakefield, the man currently a couple of weeks ago with a broken hand. The vape pub entry will start at 11 to the outside. Carl Burke, Big Daddy in the number 53. Row number 7 on the grid is going to find Daryl Tidrick and Bug Eyes, Aaron Cooper. He's ready to go in number 71. Row number 8, starting 15th, Scott Hutchinson. 15 drivers on the grid ready to go for the Northwest ARCA Series here tonight at Indianapolis.
Indy has now got 14 drivers on track, as it looks like that of Daryl Tidrick going to be starting on pit road. We'll see if the 45 wants to get back out on track, but it's the 46 that's going to be out front with his extra crispy machine. We'll see if Sean Reisman can get a win here. We saw him struggle in the ARCA series during the that of the Indy road course last week. 46, strong start, qualifying so well, but now it's time to see how these drivers can attack here at the Indy Oval. As we wait for the pace car to go off, there they go. It's playoff racing, race 2 of the round of 12. It's time to get some racing action. Who's going to be getting a win here tonight and possibly locking themselves into the next round? As we are green, Sean Brightsman, Toby Ritter side by side. As you see at our ticker, all the colors are in green. That's going to be that is Smith. He's locked into the next round. Drivers in blue are in the top 8. As you see, the drivers that are outside of the top 8 are in red. It's Sean Brightsman up front as they're going through turn number 2.
So are you a fan of O'Rida or beer? That's the battle up on the front row between Brightsman and Ritters. Going on in the early going, this race is green. Watching these drivers work their way to the back straightaway, coming off the short chute. Little battle there to the inside. That's going to be Ritters under attack by the machine of Moore. Daniel Moore will clear him. Look at the SRX colors of Jeff Stabnow representing the Superstar Racing Experience. What an exciting show that was on CBS back during the summer. And we look forward covering it on Speed 51 as well during the summertime. The SRX machine coming after Ritters. We're one lap in here in Indy, Samuel, and it's all Brightsman out in front.
Sean Brightsman already up to a great distance between himself and the rest of the field. And the key right now for Sean Brightsman is to pull away, get a gap, so the draft is not something that is going to be helping the drivers behind Sean Brightsman. But Dennis Moore, second place, great job for the 44 machine, trying to get the best points he can possible right now. As you see the field and where they're running, everyone's trying to get single filed up, trying to utilize the draft. And the draft is going to be one of the key factors of tonight, how the drivers can utilize that on these long straightaways, and then how do you slow down and keep the momentum through these corners. That's going to be another factor for the drivers while they're on track. But you're starting to see a little bit of gaps going on as Jeff Stabnow in third, trying to catch up to Dennis Moore.
Working their way down the straightaway past the yard of bricks at the start-finish line. Lap number 2 of 90 in the early going. By the way, the legend is officially updated. It is green for advanced. That's Kevin Smith, ARCA winner at the road course here in Indy last Friday. In the playoffs, in blue, Moore, Ritters, Bloom, Gamble, Vining, and Burke. Outside the top 8 in red. One car almost getting sideways inside the top 5. That was Bloom and Gamble. They saved their cars. Smith and Harris also giving us a scare. They hold it. We stay green as they go to the short chute in turn number 3.
Yeah, and at the exit of the corners, that's where we're going to be seeing these drivers really have to focus. And if you get a bad exit, get close to that outside wall, you're looking, one, not to get any damage. This track is so aero necessary, as if you make any type of, scrapes on the sides, it will cost you speed on these straightaways and could be costing you utilizing the draft to run a little bit faster, as we're seeing Sean Brightsman utilize the draft, getting right on the back bumper of the 44 of Dennis Moore, Beaver State Racing Machine. Dennis Moore, one of the drivers that ran pretty well last week, got a consistent run for the 44 machine, and he'll be coming in 4th in points for tonight's race. And Dennis Moore wanting to get his 4th win of the season if he gets it done here tonight.
I think the word you were thinking of trying to get out was aero-dependent. We're going to see if these drivers can keep aero-dependency in these cars, because obviously that's a big factor. Look at this battle now. Ryan Bloom on the inside, carrying Kevin Smith with him. Ritters under attack for that spot. That's in the top 5. Weaslin also in that mix is Gamble and Harris as they work their way through the short chute off of 4. Back at the west end of the speedway. Down the front straightaway they go. And we're 5 laps in at Indy.
And here comes Robert Gamble to the inside, trying to get by Clifford. And will be trying to put his nose on the inside. Much preferred lane. And Harris going to be following just as well as now Toby Ritters, who had such a great qualifying run for himself in the 23. He is falling back and being the biggest loser so far on lost positions, down 5 from where he started.
Ritters trying to reel in Gamble down to the inside. Harris, look at the Kodiak color, Samuel. Look at that beautiful looking car. The Kodiak Bear on Frank Harris's car. Right there, good run. He's in 8th spot.
Yeah, Harris going to be carrying on the Kodiak colors. He ran it last week with the playoffs and just trying to get a little bit more of a feel as we ride on board with the 11 of Frank Harris and get a sense of these straightaways. Who does he want to follow? Right now, following Gamble and trying to get the draft to kind of pull him along. Use that other driver as an anchor point to move yourself with speed. But the draft is kind of, a double-sided, double-edged sword in a way where you can find yourself coming in with extreme pace, try to duck it low, but at the same time, you got to figure out how to slow down to make sure you can take these corners well. As they're still seeing side by side is Toby Ritters as well as Robert Gamble. This is costing them speed. They're losing the 0-0 of Kevin Smith in front of them.
Lap 6 of 90. Gamble up the outside. Here comes Ritters on the bottom. Harris is there. Vining is there. The Catman in the top 10 along with Troy Daggett. 90 laps around Indy. Hold on to Robert Gamble. He was dirt tracking it there for a moment. How about the Minnesota Vikings? He's on the front hood of the number 54 machine, sporting his favorite team. And the Mountain Dew machine reeling him in. That's the Catman, James Vining, along with Troy Daggett in 51. They're coming. They're coming after him, Samuel, on the short shoot in 3.
Yeah, the 30-33 of James Vining. Been trying to test a little bit more. I was talking to him earlier, and he felt like he wasn't really able to put in as much testing into today's race for that 333. Felt like some real-life injuries that the Catman's been dealing with was kind of hindering him from getting as much practice that he'd like to get. But right now, James Vining running in 9th place, and it's not the worst place to be. Still sees plenty of drivers in front of him to attack, and we touched on it. This race could turn into a fuel mileage race where even if you're this far back, if you get the best fuel run, you can stretch it out the furthest, you might be able to pull out a win here.
Closing in on 10 laps so far. Everybody playing it nice here. Samuel, what's the fuel strategy? What's the fuel, obviously, window, and ARCA cars are a lot different than the Cup and trucks, so obviously they might have to make a couple of more pit stops per se, you think, in the ARCA race tonight?
Yeah, a lot of these drivers looking to be pitting around. If they want to stretch it as far as they can go, around lap 35. If you're planning on undercutting, lap 30 might be your window you're looking for. But a lot of these drivers right now got to be thinking about where they want to maybe stretch it out. And for the drivers that are further back, kind of not running as fast as our leaders, they could possibly, stay out a little bit longer and try to save more fuel. And I was talking to some of the drivers. They said that if there were a lot of cautions that were coming out, in this first run, it might allow some drivers to stretch out the fuel, possibly to lap 45, but that was an extreme stretch if there were a lot of cautions. So around lap 30 to 35 is the window we're looking for.
Back across the straightaway here, down the backstretch here at Indianapolis. There's Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, the Hermiston, Washington native. Remember, he won the race here at the road course at Indy. And honestly, the only part of the road course that they race on in the part of the big speedway, Samuel, is from turn 2, from the short chute to turn 1, down the front straightaway, backwards. You see where that cone is?
Yeah.
That's normally where they turn to go on the road course. And that was all they ran on. Now they're using the entire distance of the 2.5-mile speed plant. 10 laps in, Sean Brightsman out in front. And right now, Kevin Smith, who, mind you, he's already punched his ticket, Samuel, in to the round of 8. Just joyriding right now, basically, in the top 10. He's in 5th.
Yeah, right now, following that of Ryan Bloom and they can utilize staying with one another on these straightaways, try to build up more speed, and try to make sure they can get close enough. Currently, right now, for that of Kevin Smith and Ryan Bloom, they're a little bit too far back from getting a real surge and utilizing the toe that they would get from Jeff Stabnow, excuse me. But Jeff Stabnow in that 24 doing a great job of running in third place. But we're now starting to see where drivers are picking and choosing on how they want to attack. Our front five really have gapped themselves from the rest of the field that have been keeping it close as, oh no, it's going to be the 91. That is Scott Hutchinson coming into pit road to get service done. This is an unscheduled stop for the 91 team.
Can't really see if there's any damage on Scott Hutchinson's car. The 91 machine, Chevrolet, coming to his pit stall. The GTR Simulator Chevrolet. Samuel, I can't tell. I wonder if he might have some type of an engine problem or something virtually. Not sure. He's in the pits.
Engine problem, or I know he was starting to just fall back. Could have been just feeling like, hey, I'm not going to race any more of this. Again, Scott Hutchinson's one of the few drivers that is not in the playoffs, so this is more of just an exhibition race for himself, gain experience for the future races in the Cup and Truck races. So why not just get a couple of laps, get a sense, then attack, as we're side by side watching the battling that's going on for fourth place. Ryan Bloom under attack. Here comes Smith on the inside.
Coming after him, back down to the inside, up the racetrack, Ryan Bloom. Bloom on the outside lane. Smith there on the bottom. Clearing him. Or not. Yes. 0-0 to fourth. Smith is there.
And now Smith's got to be worried about possibly a crossover move. If Bloom gets a good launch here, he might have a second chance to fight back on this front stretch. Here comes the 25, just staying behind, not close enough just yet, but we'll wait after they cross the line. What type of surge does the 25 have? And just deciding to stay in line, not going to be able to make any type of move as there's just too much of a gap. And now we get to see, does Kevin Smith, does he have enough speed to try to catch up to the driver that's in third place? That of Jeff Stabnow is right now Kevin Smith up the most positions, up 6 from where he qualified.
There's the 11. Harris is in 9th. Trying to come after Vining. Vining, one of the drivers in the round of 8. And by the way, if I'm thinking if you're in red, you're in the playoffs in the first round, right? Right, Samuel? You're just on the outside looking in as far as the points cut off.
Yeah, everyone that is colored right now is in the playoffs.
Yes,
if you're in red, you're the 4 drivers that are outside of the top 8. If you're in blue, you're inside, but doesn't mean you're in a comfort zone at all. As right now for the driver that's in 9th position in points, that being Frank Harris, he's only 1 point out from that of James Vining. So it's still very close between these drivers. If Harris just makes the pass on James Vining, he's practically tied for that 8th place position.
Certainly is, as well. Keep an eye on him. Right now, everybody's
here is our playoff picture.
14 of 90. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
As we get to see on the right, this is our playoff picture. As you can see, the drivers that are inside and outside. This is coming into today's race. This is not live points, as we do not get the live points update during the middle of the race. But coming into this Indy Oval race, as these drivers are getting prepared, they got to see what this was looking like into this window. We know Kevin Smith, because of his win last week at the Indy road course, he is now locked into the round of 8, but everyone else trying to point their way in for Ryan Bloom and also for Gamble. While the rest of the field, they're still a little bit too close to those back 4, where they've got to be hoping to have good days. And that's what we're seeing from a lot of the drivers that are in the top 8. Running well, it's Carl Burke that I'm concerned about, that 53 team coming in. They only had a 6-point advantage. They're running back in 11.
We're going to lap 15 of 90. There you see the 53 machine Rocket Racing Sim Setups entry machine of Big Daddy Carl Burke sitting there behind Troy Daggett. There you see the primer color, if you will, of the Vapub number 50 machine of Judd Wakefield. And it is now official, Samuel. Scott Hutchinson is out of the race, so we have the first retiree of the evening.
Yeah, and for Scott, it just seemed like he got to run his first, 9 laps and said, you know what, that's good enough for me. Got my good sense of what my early run and the ARCA cars are. Let's go practice for the Cup and the trucks. We saw a little bit of this last week where we saw some drivers that weren't in the playoffs and weren't really contenders, feeling like, you know what, got that experience, let's move on. As you're seeing on track, the battling that continues for that 6th place position. It's going to be Gamble, Ritters, as well as Vining. Almost thought Vining was going to force the 3 wide, but giving the help to Gamble as they're on the straightaway. The 333 on the back bumper of the 54, and those little, it doesn't seem like a lot just following behind someone else, but that allows those drivers that are all in line, there's less drag, more speed can be built up. The driver that's not by themselves, they're not getting, the advantage of having more cars in line, but they're getting a better run, as you can see by Toby Ritters on the outside, able to keep on holding on to that 6th place position.
Toby Ritters ready on the bottom of the racetrack, the number 23 machine. And Ritters currently outside the top 5. He's in 6th spot. Lap 18 of 90 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. ARCA Northwest. One driver knows he's going to the round of 8, and that's Kevin Smith. He sits right now in the 4th position as Ritters now gets some company from Robert Gamble as the Vikings are coming after him down off the short chute in the turn number 3.
Saw Judd Wakefield a little bit further back and out of sorts for himself, but we're seeing these drivers. This is from 6th all the way back to 12th. All this battling is going on as these drivers all in line, utilizing the draft. And what's crazy is these drivers are battling so hard with themselves, but they're 14.5 seconds back from our leader. Is this pocket group that we've been seeing having some of the best racing on track? And this is extremely close points that these drivers need to be getting because they're all making sure from that of, Ritters to Vining, they're the blockers holding back the drivers that are outside of the top 8 who are trying to get every single point possible for themselves. And for that, Frank Harris doing what he needs to do. He's the driver that is in 9th in points and being ahead of Carl Burke, just keeping it even closer points-wise as we've only got 2 more races left in this round of 12. As you see Vining get it squeezed, and he almost got squeezed out of that position he was in. Close racing in the middle of this 5-car pack as we are seeing an aerial coverage from All-American Pools, and we're getting to see how the drivers get closer because of the draft. And once they come in, it's just an accordion of all the drivers collecting back to one another because they're all trying to slow down enough to take this corner properly.
Look at Ritters down to the inside, coming after Gamble. Whoa, one fishtailing there. I think it was Judd Wakefield. It looked like he got slung like a rag doll and down to the bottom of the racetrack. While that goes on, look at this battle. Gamble, Ritters, Vining, Harris, all going at it. And what a save by Wakefield a moment ago, Sammy D.
Yeah, Judd Wakefield's been struggling about that rear end coming out of turn 2 and out of turn 4 all race long. It has been a constant issue. And for Judd Wakefield, the fact that he is still racing is a big props to himself. With a driver that has said, you know what, I'm tired of just lingering back, that's going to be Harris, able to make the pass on Vining, and now going to be moving himself up to 8th position. We'll see if Frank Harris can try to move up and get by Robert Gamble or even Toby Ritters. As you see Ritters, that last time by, he went all the way down to the pit wall. Didn't do it this time. Decided to stay high, letting Gambles follow the draft. And it seemed like that last lap, for Toby Ritters. He felt like going to the wall was the better way to what we call snaking, trying to break the draft and to allow the draft to not be a helpful tool for the drivers behind the 23, but didn't work out last time. Tried a different approach, and now is holding on to 6th position. But everyone's closing in, getting closer. You see Daggett trying to go to the outside. Here comes Gamble trying to force it on the inside, and here comes the 54 side by side as they head into turn number 3.
21 of 90, 70 laps to go here, just under 70 laps remaining. Gamble on the inside. There goes Ritters. Harris finding right there, 4 cars. Staying down to the inside. Samuel, look at him dirt track it. Campbell under attack there, and it opens the door for Ritters. Harris was thinking about going to the inside. He's got to block the lane 2 lanes fast as they cross the yard of bricks. You can't block them all. He's got to pick top or bottom. He goes after Ritters on the inside and 1.
Yeah, that's the big thing about being the lead car of this group, is we're going to be hopping on board with that of Frank Harris and getting a sense of what the 11 has to do on this approach. He's been getting great runs out of the exit of turn 2 and 4, but that time you got to feel the motion. He came up, felt the back end, kind of wanting to spin on him, had to back off, didn't get the best launch possible. But the 11, utilizing the draft, still keeping himself close within 2/10 of the drivers in front of him, of that being Toby Ritters and Robert Gamble. And we're going to be seeing coming out of turn number 4. This is where the speed is going to be found if Toby Ritters can fight back and try to take back 6th position.
Comfortable, quiet, clean race so far. Only 1 car out of the event so far. Scott Hutchinson retired from the race. Look at the battle now, heating up. This is for the top 6 and 7 position. This is Gamble and Ritters. And they are about, Samuel, 17 seconds back.
Whoa.
Look out! Judd Wakefield dirt tracking it down to the bottom of the apron.
That was actually, I believe, Troy Daggett that got out of sorts from 51.
Yes, it was. My apologies. Samuel, Troy Daggett, and Judd Wakefield's cars look exactly alike. If Charles, our producer, can show them to you up close. Look at that car. That's Troy Daggett. Look at how close and primer colored it is. And then you've got the 50 right there. Look at how closely colored they are. And they both had some handling issues. I bet you they're waiting for a caution.
They got a base gray, but then it trickles off to a much more defined green for that of Judd Wakefield, and a little bit more of a yellowish, going towards a yellowish green for Troy Daggett. But both drivers running a little bit further back, as you see that of Toby Ritters trying to go all the way down to the inside, and you see there the 91 Scott Hutchinson coming out of pit road. The 91 looks like it might have been some internet issues or some type of external issue for the 91 team, where he has to come back in and now going to be attacking these drivers, as we are seeing the crew up front watching that of Toby Ritters and Robert Gamble. They continue to battle on. This battle for 6, it's been going on for the last 20 laps, and they still can't get away from one another.
Well, we're 25 laps in, and so far it's been clean and green. Look at Ritters trying to hold off Gamble. Right in the back here, waiting patiently, is also Harrison Vining. Toby Ritters down the back straightaway. Look at him creeping inside, outside, looking, trying, using that draft. Look at him right on the back of that car, Samuel. Boy, you want to talk about a bump draft. He's trying to get it done.
Yeah, he is certainly trying to get it done, but oh boy, Sean Breisman into pit road on lap 25. This is 10 laps sooner than what we were expecting. The 46 into pit road early, and now going to be gifting the lead to Dennis Moore. An extreme undercut possibly here by Sean Breisman, who might be thinking about switching things up. It might be going, instead of a 2-stop race, into a potential 3-stop race.
So Sean Breisman, who has been the top dog all night long, or Rada Extra Crispy, I hope you like your hash browns, Samuel.
Oh, hash browns are always incredible.
That's what O'Reilly is. O'Reilly Chevrolet, number 46, back on the track. Samuel, I'm loving these throwback colors, man. I'm loving these cars and their throwbacks. The paint schemes they have. They're not like their traditional race colors that we see every week.
Yeah, I mean, ARCA, a development series, so drivers felt like there was a shot for them just to have fun, use what schemes they wanted to. I know that looking at like Robert Gamble, wanting to rock the Vikings on his car, as well as, getting to see, Frank Harris, who's getting a little bit looser, and each driver get a little bit more out of shape as each lap goes on by. But all these drivers getting to use, classic schemes or, just personal schemes for themselves, where they felt like, what? I want to feel a little bit more personalized on showing off what I love to see. As you see the 333 behind the 11, that's a band that James Vining actually likes, and then so he gets to rock and show off a band that he enjoys listening to.
The Northwest ARCA Series playoffs Friday night on Live Sim Racing. We're working lap number 28 of 90 now. Look at Gamble going after Ritters. Haven't I said this has been the best battle all night long, Samuel? Seriously?
Oh, it's been the closest for sure. They have been duking it out, and right now they have been doing a great job. This is now because of Sean Bryceman pitting so early. This is now the battle to see the top 5 on how these drivers are going on board with that of Robert Gamble, and getting a feel on board on his helmet cam. You can see how off-kiltered that steering wheel is. And the reason why the drivers have their steering wheel off as much as it is, it's so when they turn, the wheels themselves, not as much as Harris, out of shape, got close to the outside wall, and almost making contact with that of James Vining, excuse me. The 11, luckily, pointing in the right direction now.
Keeps it pointed in the right direction, as you said, Sammy D, as Frank Harris is now right up under James Vining machine. They'll work their way back across the start-finish line. It's Dennis Moore now leading after Sean Breitzman pitted before lap 27. Kevin Smith is second, winner at the road course here in Indy last week. Jeff Stabnow, not a points contender in the playoffs, but using this as an opportunity to prepare for the Northwest Cup and Truck Series playoff races on Monday and Wednesday. Ryan Bloom sitting in 4th. Toby Ritter's the top 5. And this game of cat and mouse, Samuel, continues between 54 and, of course, Toby Ritter's in 23.
Yeah, and for both of these drivers, we've been seeing at times a lot of slipping and sliding, and here's the reason why. Your SolidBlade.com weather conditions. We talked about how qualifying weather conditions were around 94 track temp. Well, it is now grown to 102. And Wesley, we touched on weather, on how it wasn't as breezy during qualifying. Well, it's got up to 10 to 11 miles per hour at times, but still partly cloudy out there as it's starting to warm up as the racing starts to heat up as well.
It was 78 degrees and track temp at 95 when we came on the air. The wind speed was only at 4 miles per hour, virtually. Now it's over 100 degrees track temp. The track temperature's gone up, ambient temperature's gone down, and the wind speed has picked up as well. What kind of handling will happen to these ARCA machines as we approach 60 to go? We're 1/3 of the way through here in playoff round 2 at Indy Road Course, and here comes more pit stops as right now Dennis Moore comes onto the pit lane.
Dennis Moore coming in right when the window I was throwing out. 30 to 35 was the window. If you were going to go undercut, try to get a little bit of an advantage over the drivers in front of you. Come in now on lap 30 to 31. Then if you're thinking about stretching it as far as you can, so you've got the fresher tires, take that advantage for the longer run. You're going to stretch that thing all the way out to lap 35 to 37. Going to be a window for these drivers. And also coming in with Dennis Moore looked like Carl Burke. Also coming into pit road, as well as the 91, as you see Burke getting into his pit stall and somehow is in perfectly. Thought he might have been a little bit too far right, but drivers finding their stalls just right currently as more drivers going to be coming into pit road, 4 tires and fuel for everyone that's coming in now.
Yeah, certainly are. Here comes pit stops now. We're going onto the pit lane. 32 of 90, 3 laps before the fuel window as Samuel reiterated on. These cars are coming down the pits. What a good run. Everybody has been good, stayed out of trouble. It's been a quiet race, a calm race, and right now, more pit stops. Harris is in. Wakefield's in. Everybody's in. Actually, Samuel, it's going to cycle back around when Stabnow and Cooper pit for Sean Brightsman to be the leader. Remember, he pitted, what, 3 laps ago? 4 laps ago? Good strategy. You think it's working?
Yeah, I mean, Sean Brightsman coming in on lap 25 to get service done. That was about 10 laps sooner than I was expecting a lot of these drivers as Jeff Stabnow continues to stay out. I like this call from Stabnow and Cooper to stay out longer because, they might not be getting that short advantage of undercutting, but this is going to be given a shot for Stabnow to try to gain, an overall advantage for himself as the race continues on. But I'm now kind of, looking at, drivers like Aaron Cooper. He has to do something like this. He has to be a little bit off of what everyone else is doing so we can gain as many points as possible. Aaron Cooper coming in 11th in points, so he needs every single point possible as you're seeing traffic coming up. And because Stabnow is not coming into pit road, we now have 8 drivers that are a lap down. I mean, we have 8th on back a lap down, as we see most of the field going to be utilizing this fresh rubber to get by the 24.
Everybody sitting comfortable in their position right now as here comes number 54. There's Gamble. He goes after Stabnow. This is 4 position on the racetrack. You've got Gamble in 8th position. Stabnow under attack by Gamble to get back on the lead lap, if you will. He's not pitted yet. The SRX number 24 machine. The driver to Billings, Montana. Jeff Stabnow. No dog in the fight. Team LSRTV driver, just getting experience in what's been a roller coaster ride for the driver of the LSRTV 4K Ford. He opens the door, lets Rambert Gamble get back on the lead lap, Samuel, so this now puts 8 cars on the lead lap. Here comes everyone else coming as well. Vinan and Harris are there, all 4.
And this is when things get tricky for that of Jeff Stabnow because he's got to pit here in the next 2 laps or he's going to run out of fuel if he was not saving fuel. And he's got drivers that are going to continuously try to pass him on the inside. And if this 24 team cannot go down into pit road, he might have to take a tow to pit road, which could bring out a yellow if he's not careful. So lap 35 still drivers battling as strong as they can. And for that of Jeff Stabnow continuing on to stay out. And now Frank's going to be trying. Burke's going to be trying to go to the inside. 3 wide as they're trying to unlap themselves here on the backstretch.
Going after each other back on the inside, fighting to get back on the lap. They're on the tail end of the lead lap. They're trying to run down the leader. And whoa, Stabnow below the apron, if you will. Dirt tracking it down on the bottom of the inside of the track. He opens the door. Carl Burke and Stabnow's coming in. He's coming to the pit. Slow him down, Jeff. Locks up the brakes. He's got to be slow when he gets to the commitment cone. Boy, oh boy, Samuel, I think he's going to be all right, but that almost would have been a penalty.
Yeah, and with Jeff Stabnow coming into pit road, that's going to be cycling back Sean Brightsman to the lead, who is going to be having a nice bit of comfort for himself. Dennis Moore going to be the next driver that's already pitted, and as we see Sean Brightsman taking the lead, we're going to step aside, side-by-side commercial break so you won't miss a thing here on LSR TV. It's the Northwest ARCA Series. We'll be right back.
Every customer, every single time, needs to get our very best. From moment one, my goal managing a team here in the dealership is to make sure that that customer's experience is the very best that they've ever had. We expect and demand total transparency. There should never be a time in that transaction where the customer is wondering or not quite sure of what they're buying or what they're paying or those sorts of things. And having that transparency and doing things the right way is super important.
Hey, it's Wesley Outland, the face with the voice of the Northwest Cup and Truck Series, the American iRacing League that you hear simulcasted on the Community Radio Network. And that's what we want to tell you about. We are excited to continue the partnership of covering esports on CRN, just like we do with all the other broadcasts that I cover in real life, like MAV TV, Short Track America, Speed 51 TV, Fox Sports Radio for college, high school sports. The Community Radio Network does the same thing. In addition to broadcasting real athletics, we're excited to be the radio voice of LSRTV's coverage of the Northwest Cup and Truck Series presented by Tom Denchel Automotive Group, the American iRacing League, and special events along the way. It's very simple. On your web browser, laptop, tablet, or cell phone, go to wearecrn.com, click on play, and you are able to keep up with the action. It's very simple. The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Check us out when you can. Esports coverage from LSRTV on CRN, the Community Radio Network, wearecrn.com.
This is our series,
so many different pieces that you have to watch out for,
where the stakes are always higher,
$300,000.
where virtual meets reality,
How bad do you want it?
They're wasting no time getting at it.
where the best thrive and the flawless win. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Northwest ARCA Series presented by Tom Denchel Auto Group. They do have inventory if you are looking for any vehicle. As here we are at race number 2 of the round of 12 playoff racing action at the Indy Oval course. We had the road course last week. We're going to be having here, as you can see, on the oval course. Your ticker on the left, you can see where a legend is advanced already. That is Kevin Smith winning at the road course last week. Drivers in blue are the ones that are in our top 8. Drivers in red, they are outside of the top 8. They need some good runs for themselves, as it's going to be that of Frank Harris, you see on screen, challenged by Carl Burke. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Wesley Allen. Wesley, it has been hard racing we've been seeing with these drivers, but it's starting to space out. Now we're only seeing these 3 drivers close to one another, James Vining, Frank Harris, and Carl Burke, that are racing with one another.
Yeah, it's been a fairly quiet race. I mean, actually, it has been a quiet race, to be honest with you. No yellow flags whatsoever. No pulse poppers. Fishing alert instant replay showed. We've only had one problem, and that was the 91 of Scott Hutchinson. Besides a couple of scares a moment or two with, Robert Campbell or Judd Wakefield dirt tracking it off turn 4, going down below the apron when Stabnow was under attack by the back marker cars to get back on the lead lap. Other than that, it's been a fairly clean race, and it's been all Sean Brightsman. He pitted probably about 3 laps before everybody else did on strategy, and you see he cycles back around and he takes the lead again.
Yeah, and for Sean Brightsman, he had over a 12-second gap lead over Dennis Moore once Moore went into pit road. Moore's been slowly chipping away at that gap, but I gotta say, Brightsman's shown off that this short undercut pit stop has done well for now, as we're right on board, as we're seeing the drivers that are, as we're watching on board with Sean Brightsman, but I'm looking at the difference of speeds from the 46 to the 44. There's not a lot of time being gained by Dennis Moore, but because of how early Sean Brightsman's pitting, he is now in the little clutches of being forced into doing a 3-stop type of a race, while the rest of the field, they can still turn this race into just a 2-stop event. So there is a lot of pressure on Sean Brightsman to make sure he's got a big enough lead. Next time we'll see the 46 into pit road should be around lap 50 to 51. Everyone else, they're going to be stretching it out to lap 60 to 65 is their window that they're looking for. But Wesley, Dennis Moore, what a season he's had in the Northwest iRacing Series. He has been just finding more and more speed, it seems like, in all 3 series that we have here on LSR TV, and it's been a pleasure to watch, currently in 2nd place.
It certainly has. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job. He's been staying out of trouble. He's in a good spot where he is, comfortable. And, we talked about these drivers that are Northwest competitors. taking advantage from the Cup and Truck Series to run this ARCA driver development program. And, you know, it was lifted for the playoffs that the national guys, the Northwest Cup and Truck competitors, can run in this ARCA series. And, you know, it's showing why they need to. Obviously, we're seeing not only the strengths and weaknesses of some of these drivers, but obviously we're seeing the skill that obviously the Monday, Wednesday competitors always show. And by the way, don't forget, Monday night, Northwest Cup Series here in Indy. Wednesday night, Northwest Truck Series here in Indy. They'll get their chance to battle it out as well.
Yeah, they're going to be battling it. As speaking of battles, here's our battle cam as the drivers are racing on. It's been a lot of hard racing, watching all these drivers competing and trying to be aggressive with one another. It's been a pleasure watching these guys. You know, we've seen Frank Harris as well as James Vining being close to one another. And speaking of points, they're close to one another in points. I mean, only having a 1 point difference on who's going to be in the top 8 or who's not, as we're on board. You see on the right side with that of Frank Harris in the 11. And Wesley, I was talking about the hands. Look at the steering wheel and how off kilter it is when you're going down the straightaways. So when you turn into the corners, you're not using and turning the wheel as much and using up as much as your tires as you normally would if the steering wheel was completely straight on the straightaways.
Yeah, we're going to watch these guys, and we're seeing the handling, and we just, you know, watch this from the right on the onboard camera. We're going multi-cam. You see on the right, look at how smooth that transition is. I believe we're riding on board with Carl Burke in the 53 car. Look at the way he's just gradually driving here. Nice run, smooth transition, Samuel. Keeping it a straight wheel down the straightaway and staying out of trouble.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing here. Just make sure you do not get yourself in any type of trouble as we're watching the drivers racing on board with that of Frank Harris, as we'll see the battle cam a lot blown up and getting to see how these drivers are running. But for that of Harris, he is keeping it close, trying to figure out where he wants to duck and dive and make a move here, as the 11 going to be going to the inside, finally going to be trying to make a pass here on James Vining. Harris got the run that he was hoping for and cleanly makes the pass into turn number 3.
Harris on the bottom, finally getting around him. That's for 8th. Getting around Vining, the cat man, and now he's going after Gamble. And them cars right there nestled with each other. Harris, Vining, Gamble. 7th, 8th, and 9th. 8th, 9th, 10th. Also, Burke is there. My apologies. That timing and scoring just froze them on me. We watching them go at it here. Honestly, a comfortable, quiet race, Samuel. I got to wonder, as we approach halfway here, we're coming up on halfway. Look at these guys going into this 3rd turn now. And this is all going on. Best battle on the racetrack. While that goes on, Brightsman gone. Moore 2nd, Smith 3rd. There is the man, Carl Burke. Samuel, what a good run he's got right now. He's in the top 10. I know there's, you know, only a certain amount of cars on this track tonight. It's not like a 30-car field like the Northwest Cup or Truck Series. But for Carl Burke to be in the top 10, that is an improvement for what he's done in the past in the Cup and Truck Series this season.
Yeah, Carl Burke in the Cup and Trucks, it has been a very tough season in both of those series. Here in the ARCA series, Carl Burke has been having to run a little bit more consistent. He hasn't been, you know, each and every week in the top 10 or top 5 running, but for this 53 team, he's got 6 top 5s, 7 top 10s, still looking quick for himself. And Carl Burke on the incident points, because those get tracked whenever you go off course, make contact with other drivers, or into the wall. Carl Burke, of all the drivers that are running here tonight, coming into this race, had the least amount in the ARCA series. So for the 53 team, he knows how to keep the nose out of trouble and that's why he is in the top 8 currently in points. He comes in 5th in points, actually. So where he's running might lose a couple of points on that of Frank Harris, who's trying to gain, but still feeling comfortable going into these next 2 races, which we're going to Iowa and Atlanta, which Iowa is a dogfight for short track racing. 2-3 wide action to be happening there as there's multi-groove racing at Iowa. And with the new update that came in, a lot of drivers loving how you can attack Iowa and short track racing now. In Atlanta, it's hot Atlanta. It's slick. There's not a lot of road to be found. We're expecting a lot of sliding all over the place as we're riding on board with Sean Bridesman now. The question is, when will Sean go into pit road? Because the last time he pitted was on lap 25. Will he pit on lap 50? Or will he stretch it out as far as he can go? Because if he stretches it out, he can go out to lap 60, where everyone else would be pitting as well.
Sean Bridesman, you see him right there leading the way. Staying out in front, strong run in that number 46 machine.
As we drop back to the 24, Jeff Stab now going to be running in 5th position currently, and you can see that tail end get a little drifty on him. You can see kind of drift out at points, but this 24 team, like we're seeing from that of Sean Bridesman, kind of just going with a constant groove and just running well. I mean, got to say, a much cleaner race from this 24 team than what we saw last week, where he was just having issues all over the place, was running his racing rig, wasn't built completely to his liking, so he was very uncomfortable racing last week in the ARCA race at the Indy Road Course. Now, it looks like he's ready, just based on how he's racing, 5th place, looks like he's a lot more comfortable in his racing rig this go around as we're on board with the 24. Wesley, Jeff Stab now this season, he's shown consistency, but also at times just shown a lot of unlucky events that have happened to himself.
Yeah, he has, man. Just trying to turn things around, if you will. Look at this battle here. And there's really just everyone single file. Just riding on board. Nice, comfortable ride. Watch him working into the short chute. Into 1 and 2. Up the racetrack just a little bit. See him starting to just take it up to the wall. Not making any contact. That's on board with Jeff Stab now. Billings, Montana native. He currently is in the top 5. He's coming after the number 50 machine, Judd Wakefield, who's in 13th, 1 lap down. And honestly,
Yeah,
Samuel,
we're
that's how garbled up the traffic is from we had these green flag pit stops, my friend. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing, is this field has grown so much over this time, and with it being 51 laps now of green flag racing, that's where we're going to be seeing the difference of drivers that really were able to conserve their tires and be aggressive at times. They're running well up front, and the drivers that have been struggling on these long runs, they're losing a lot of ground, and even when they make pit stops, it's been a struggle. And you know, looking at Jeff Stab now, you know, he hasn't been an ARCA regular, but, you know, he comes in time to time. He gives advice to the drivers for whenever they're being prepared for these races the night before, coming in, talking to the drivers, giving them advices at all the different tracks. You love to see it from the drivers that are a lot more veterans in the Northwest iRacing series and giving these drivers all the tips and tricks that they can. But in this first season of the ARCA series, Jeff Stab now, he has got 9 starts, not counting today's race, with 3 top 5s and 6 top 10s. So showing consistency as into pit road. You see the 51. It's Troy Daggett who's coming in early, and he's got to be careful not to wobble into that pit wall. But 51 coming into pit road, and this is going to be his second pit stop of the night for the 51 team. Currently in 13th place and going to be a lap down. Might be 2 once he gets back out there on track.
Coming in for service. Lap 52 of 90. Green flag pit stops they're about to begin here again. I wonder if Troy Daggett realized, Samuel, that maybe he needs to pit like what Breitzman did and try to take advantage of that. What do you think, bud?
Yeah, I think for Breitzman for sure. I mean, I thought maybe he was, just because he pitted on lap 25, might go with the 20, 25, 25, 25 to finish out this race. But, you know, I finally did the math. I mean, these drivers can stretch it out 35 laps. So Sean Breitzman, yes, he pitted early, but he could still turn this race into a two-step. I did the math wrong earlier on when I saw him come in, so that was my mistake. But Sean Breitzman, he might be aiming for lap 60, where a lot of these other drivers are looking for as well. Is now Carl Burke going to be aiming into pit road? These are drivers making extremely early pit stops, and they're going to be right on the brink if they can even make it to the end. And, oh, no, Carl Burke taking the toe. He might be done for the day.
Oh, no. What a tough break for Carl Burke. He could be out of it for sure. Man, we'll have to find out, get a report of what's happened to his car. Carl Burke, talking about such a good run he had, now he's out. Closing in on 36 laps to go.
I'm still scratching my head. I mean, even if Carl Burke, I mean, that is obviously him just pulling in and might be just calling it a day for himself. But that 53 team running in 10th place, he still is going to be in a pretty good spot points-wise going into Iowa next week for a third race of 4 in this round of 12. But now I'm concerned about that team and how well they're going to be able to attack moving forward, as now we move up to Sean Breitzman. And like I said, around lap 60 is going to be the window for a lot of these drivers and where they're going to be attacking. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, pit stop's going to be underway here at the Indy Oval for the Northwest ARCA Series presented by Tom Denchel Auto Groups. We will be right back in a few.
Every customer, every single time, needs to get our very best. From moment one, my goal managing a team here in the dealership is to make sure that that customer's experience is the very best that they've ever had. We expect and demand total transparency. There should never be a time in that transaction where the customer is wondering or not quite sure of what they're buying or what they're paying or those sorts of things. And having that transparency and doing things the right way is super important.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Northwest ARCA Series presented by Tom Denchel Auto Group. Remember, Tom Denchel, they do have inventory. If you need a car, go look up Tom Denchel Auto Group for all of your auto needs from them. It's playoff racing. This is race number 2 of 4 in the round of 12. Right now, we already know Kevin Smith's going to be making it to the round of 8 here in just 3 weeks, but it's certainly a lot of racing to be seen here. Sean Breitzman, your leader right now by just under 7 seconds, but it certainly might be closing up as Dennis Moore trying to chip away each and every lap by the 44 onto the 46. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Wesley Allen. Wesley, we have been green all the way through, but things are about to get a little bit more spicier as pit road about to get very busy here in the next 2 to 3 laps.
Got to be thinking in your head, Sammy D, this is the money stop when these guys come down to the pit lane. Working all the way to the finish here. We got about 33 laps to go. It has been a nice, comfortable race. No caution flags, as you said. Does that totally just change as we approach this final 2/3 of the race completed? 1/3, or 2/3 done, 1/3 remaining, or Do we see just complete sheer domination still by Sean Brightsman? Dennis Moore, they've been the class of the field top 2 cars. When Brightsman pits, Moore comes out in front. But I got to wonder if maybe when Brightsman pits this time, if Dennis Moore doesn't call his bluff, Sammy, and come down to the pits with him.
Yeah, I mean, right now, for both the drivers, I think lap 60 is their call. For Sean Brightsman, he pitted on lap 25 as Dennis Moore pitted on lap 30. So a 5-lap difference, but that 5-lap difference allowed Sean Brightsman to build up a lead gap of around 12 seconds over the 44 team as we're watching the great battling that's going on for 8th place out of Frank Harris and James Vining. Those two just have not been able to get away from one another, but Dennis Moore, if he needs to, he can stretch it out to lap 65 just based off the fuel that he can run out there. As for Sean Brightsman, the furthest he can go is that of 60 as Frank Harris getting out of shape, getting concerned as we are getting ready for pit road to get busy. This is similar to how we saw before our first green flag pit stops. Drivers getting loose and those rear ends getting squirrely coming out of the corners of the 11. Extremely high and into the wall. It's Frank Harris.
Frank Harris had problems earlier, remember? And no correction, Carl Burke. Again, Frank Harris did have some handling issues right around. See the way it's acting up, that Pontiac? It's acting up just like it did before he pitted the last time, Samuel. So it looks like either the car is tightening up or it's too free. He's really fighting it now as he's working his way off of 2 and entering 4. Remember, as we talked about in the pre-race show, see, look at that. Even through the short chute, he's having handling problems. This track here in Indianapolis is identical from the short chute parameters to the back straightaway to the front straightaway. It's all the same unison size, and you'll see he's having issues fighting that car, number 11. He's in the top 10, but I know he's got to be pitting here soon. He's really, really got a problem. And it could be the tires are gone.
The tires are gone as well, as you see Smith going to be the first of our top 10 to be coming into pit road, getting service done for himself. And the 00 early pit stop compared to everyone else, which we've seen the undercut work right now for that Sean Brightsman, and we'll see if it now works out for the driver that won at the Indy Road course. Trying to get the sweep at Indy in the ARCA series is Kevin Smith as he gets his service done. Back it on track. Pit stop, 15.23 seconds on kind of the slower end of pit stops that you can get, but we're going to see how this 00 can really utilize this fresh rubber as Sean Brightsman's still out on track, which the earliest pit stop we saw of the day was from this 46 team on lap 25. He continues to stretch it out as drivers behind him are trying to do an undercut over the 46. Dennis Moore, Ryan Bloom, both into pit road.
Ryan Bloom currently in 4th position. Watching other machines come down to the pit lane. Dennis Moore comes in. Stab now moves up to 2nd, but he's 17 seconds back to the leader, Sean Brightsman. Here comes now James Vining in. Frank Harris, obviously, Samuel, coming in. We saw how tight his car was becoming. Robert Gamble is coming in. Sean Brightsman now coming in. The leader is coming in. Will Stab now pit as well when he comes back around? He'll be the leader in 11 seconds, but does he pit in the 24, Samuel?
I mean, I would think it'd be the best opportunity for this 24 team to try to just minimize the amount of time that he lost, stretching out as far as he did. But it looks like for that of Jeff Stab now, he is just, he's one of the regulars as well as that of Sean Brightsman that are going to be running in the Cup and the trucks. Both of those drivers might be, they're both doing complete opposite strategies. And I think because they know this is the development league, why not try off-ball strategies? And we saw Sean Brightsman pit early to try to get an advantage for this final pit stop. I think for Jeff Stab now, his whole entire goal, what happens if I stretch my tires and fuels out to the maximum that it could be?
Right.
So expect to see the 24 into pit road around lap 70 so we can just fly for these final 20 laps.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. We'll keep an eye on that and watch what goes on here, as this is just money stop time. You know it is. Down to this final laps here. Lap 62 of 90. Stab now coming back. He has not pitted yet. Samuel, I got a feeling, bud, Stabnow is putting himself in the same predicament like the last time he pitted, if you remember. Remember when he pitted, he stayed out in front, and then he literally pushed it to the limit? And then he had all the lap traffic, back marker cars? Yes.
Yeah, he pushed it out, and the big thing was everyone else had such fresher tires. They were able to gap over the 24 team by quite a large margin. I mean, looking at just the times of the best lap time put down for Jeff Stabnow to his last lap, it was almost a complete 3-second difference. And still, Stabnow could stay out for another 7 laps, which it could be over 3.5 seconds by then on the difference on time. So Jeff Stabnow got to be careful. He's going to be losing a lot of ground, but like I said, this is not a playoff race for this 24 team, so he can try a lot of off-ball strategies and see if they're going to work out in the long run. As hopping on board, Aaron Cooper coming into pit road. Aaron Cooper, one of the drivers that tried to do a similar strategy as Jeff Stabnow. It has backfired for the 71 team, but because of seeing Troy Daggett being taken out of the race, looks like, or issues for that of Troy Daggett and Carl Burke dropping out of this race, 71 team, they tried something to try to gain some time and points, but it's still going to be very difficult for Cooper to come back. He might need a must-win for these next 2 races as Stabnow continues to stay out on track. Again, lap 70 is the window for extended. That's the furthest we could see the 24 go, as you see the points on the right.
Stabnow. Deja vu all over again. Look at him out in front. But they're going to start reeling him in. There you see him right there, beginning with Ritters. Hungry packs of wolves, 1 lap down. Going to start running down 24. 18 seconds back is Sean Brightsman in second. And when Stabnow pits, it will cycle back around, Samuel, for Jeff Stabnow to pit, Brightsman back to the lead. That's one of the things I love about when I get to work NASCAR events, Samuel, is when you're way up in the press box and you see the transition cycle of green flag pit stops, you can literally see it all coming to fruition. The way the cars are up in front, they come in, they strategize, they make their pit stops, everyone else follows in sequence, and it's like an accordion effect, and you watch it transition, and in a couple of laps or so, you see it all right back as the way it was before the pit stops took place, with the leader back out in front.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, for Jeff Stabnow, like I noted on earlier, he's just trying something different because he knows he's not a playoff driver. Why not try something different? Which, we're seeing now that there's a lot of tire drop-off, but the advantage you get from staying out a lap or 2 earlier than everyone else around you isn't as large as, we would see at mile-and-a-half courses or short track races. It seems like here at Indy, for the 2.5-mile course, the real tire management is a key, but it just seems like Sean Brightsman's learning something that I think a lot of drivers might have to take note throughout this whole entire week of how do I hit early to get that early tire advantage over the other drivers when they're going to be pitting around the fuel window marker. You see Toby Ritter is going to be passing, trying to get himself unlapped, and will do so successfully. But Wesley, we might see similar strategies of what we just saw Brightsman do today for the Cup and the Truck Series of trying to pit early in that first stint to try to maximize that early pit stop and those tires that they got. So they're pitting around the other drivers, and it's been working great for this 46 team as he actually was able to stretch it out further than everyone else. Pit around 61, being a full lap ahead of Dennis Moore and Kevin Smith behind the 46 team.
There is Sean Brightsman. He has dominated this race all night long. He's down at the bottom of the racetrack, below the apron, back up the racetrack. Stabnow leads, Brightsman there. When Stabnow pits for his money stop with 23, now make it 22 laps to go. When they come to the stripe, Samuel, it will be Sean Brightsman back out in front. He will then have close to a 9-second lead, if you will, over Dennis Moore in second. When he's currently in third, that'll all shuffle up when the 24 pits.
Yeah, that's all we're waiting on. When does Jeff Stabnow in the 24 come into pit road, as he's the last driver to make the pit stop? We do know for sure he cannot make it. He's going to have to come to pit road in these next couple of laps, and he's kind of trapped in a similar situation he was at the end of his first stint, where he had traffic around and behind him that made it difficult for him to get into pit road. And right now for Jeff Stabnow, he could stay out for another 2 to 3 laps, but then he's going to be forced into pit road. So you got to be careful for this 24 team. He's got, Judd Wakefield going to be trying to make this pass into turn number 1, but he's also got 2 other drivers behind him, that being James Vining and Frank Harris. They're going to be coming and trying to get a lot of space as Judd Wakefield, of course. The grass is not your friend as the 50 team able to hold on, but he's going to have to try attempt number 2 to try to get by that of Jeff Stabnow.
Judd Wakefield going off course again, as you said, but no caution. He'll hold on to it. We're on lap number 69. Closing in on 20 to go here in a few more laps. Jeff Stabnow leading the way. Sean Brightsman in second. Dennis Moore third. There you see Stabnow. Here comes the cavalry. Running him down. Get out of the way. Here comes opportunity for Judd Wakefield and many more. And Stabnow says, I've had enough. He's coming down to the pit lane with 21 to go.
And now Sean Brightsman going to be able to take the lead back as he's in first place. And I mean, this is going to be feeling so comfortable for the 46 team, having some of the freshest tires of all the drivers in the top 5. So right now, the 46, cruise control. Only thing he's got to be worried about is making contact with lap traffic or that outside wall. And it's all about just running smooth, clean laps for this 46 team as he continues to just pace himself. Now 8.5 seconds over that of Dennis Moore.
Brightsman, Moore, Smith, 11 seconds back to the leader. Bloom, 17 seconds back and fourth. 36 seconds back is Stabnow. Ugh, couldn't get it out. 20 to go. Next time by. Samuel, what a phenomenal race. We've seen no cautions. And for the most part, I really think somebody's going to slip. I have to say, I'm going to call it. I don't know if you think we're going to go caution-free, but I think somebody's going to slip here. Somebody's going to get a little bit aggressive. I think we're going to see a caution before the finish of this race. I really do.
Yeah, and if we're going to see it, it's going to be probably in this area. You got Judd Wakefield that we've seen his tires been really falling off in the later stages of these runs, where Judd Wakefield is being caught by James Vining and Frank Harris, the closest battle on track. And if they continue to battle and just slowly chip away and catch up to Judd Wakefield, they still have our leader behind them. Sean Brightsman's catching up to this 3-car pack that's in front of him.
20 to go. Brightsman, Moore, Smith, you're on board with Sammy B. Oh, Sean Brightsman from originally Puyallup, Washington, now resides in Tucson, Arizona, the land of cactus. Sean Brightsman, defending Northwest Cup Series champion. And I got to be honest, Samuel, you got guys like Brightsman, Stabnow, Hutchinson, some of these guys that are in Northwest competition using this to prepare for playoffs racing Monday and Wednesday, and it will help. We saw what Kevin Smith did. Not even not just winning Wednesday, Sam, but Kevin Smith could have won the Cup race on Monday. Blake Peterson won, but he came very close to doing it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a very hard-fought battle, and it was this driver, the 46 of Sean Brightsman, that was kind of the catalyst around why Kevin Smith did not get the win. There was contact made between Kevin Smith and Sean Brightsman that got too much damage on the 00 to where he could not hold off and defend. Blake Peterson that was able to run away, win that race, and, coming into tonight, I knew Sean Brightsman was going to be fast, but, man, has he been wicked quick in being able to try out different strategies. I I think for Sean Breisman, he loves the fact that he was able to try something out like this. Is Troy Daggett now into pit road for into the wall? Not paying attention, it looks like, for the 51 team. And he's going to just take the toe to pit road. That is a struggle moment for the 51 team as we'll now move up to second place. Dennis Moore, I mean, he just is doing exactly what he needs to do. Have a good top 5 run for himself, and he'll point his way into the next round. Unless we see issues for that of Sean Breisman, it's looking like this is where drivers are going to be lying. But this whole entire field, what a run it's been. Dennis Moore, he's ran the most. He's been up front, up one position from where he qualified. Second, one of the drivers that I was really thinking had a good shot here tonight just because it was fuel strategy run. We've seen the Beaver State Racing team as a whole in the Cup and in the Truck Series be very good at the fuel strategy run types of races. Thought maybe it would trickle down to Dennis Moore here today, but hey, still a solid run in second place for Dennis Moore.
17 laps to go. There's Dennis Moore. The Beaver State Racing Machine, as Samuel mentioned, he's in that number 2 position, the bridesmaid. Sean Breisman, the leader. 8.5 seconds back is right now Dennis Moore to the leader. Then you got Kevin Smith in third. Boy, look at that header fire. Virtual popping the headers. That's where, honestly, okay, so you ever heard of the expression, Samuel, bottoming out? Like bottoming out in the corners? That's exactly what they're doing. And normally at nighttime, you would see sparks when they bottom out going into the banking in the corners, and you would see the header fire like you're seeing. Daytime conditions don't really provide that. You see the popping of the header on the bottom of the chassis on the right, but you don't see the sparks, and that would be bottoming out. But as the transition continues here, you're just seeing literally Dennis Moore just making laps. Honestly, that's all he's doing right now. That's all he can do. 15 to go at the line, just making laps.
And with it being 15 laps to go, we're going to take our last commercial break. When we come back, we're going to take you to the end here for race number 2 of the round of 12 for the Northwest ARCA Series. We'll be right back in just a few here on LSRTV, your home of sim racing.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Hey, it's Wesley Outland on the set of the Bull Ring on Speed 51 TV, but I also want to remind everybody that you can keep up with coverage of esports with the Northwest Cup and Truck Series, the American iRacing League, S&B Cup Series, and so much more on your home for sim racing, LSRTV. Of course, remember, you can watch it and then you can listen to it on CRN, the Community Radio Network, at wearecrn.com. Check us out when you can.
Every customer, every single time, needs to get our very best. From moment one, my goal managing a team here in the dealership is to make sure that that customer's experience is the very best that they've ever had. We expect and demand total transparency. There should never be a time in that transaction where the customer is wondering or not quite sure of what they're buying or what they're paying or those sorts of things. And having that transparency and doing things the right way is super important.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Northwest ARCA Series, presented by Tom Denchel Auto Group, as you are watching all the great racing action here on LSR TV, 4K HD action, as it is amazing racing we've been seeing all night long. Sean Breisman up front. We have been green all the way through so far. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Wesley Outland. Wesley, We've been green for this whole entire race. We've seen drivers spacing out for one another, but now we're starting to see drivers closing in the later stages. Toby Ritters and that Robert Campbell, they're back to the fighting action that we saw back on lap 25, but now it's with 12 laps to go.
Can you say home stretch, my friend? It's down to the wire. If we're not going to get a caution flag, or at least going to try to advance as many positions as you can, remember, drivers in red, they want to get up in blue. They want to get out of the top, behind the bottom of the top 12. Remember, 10 through 12, I'm sorry, you're on the cutoff line. If you can advance and get in the blue, that's good for you. And in addition to that, drivers that are in blue, they want to go into green. And you got a guy that's not even racing for a championship who's right now leading the thing. 11 to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the biggest thing. Sean Breisman kind of being a stealer of this win, a race that could have punched one of our playoff drivers into the round of 8 like we saw Kevin Smith do last week at the Indianapolis road course. But it's this time, it's Sean Breisman up front doing a great job for himself. Up over 10, it's coming up to 10 seconds over that Dennis Moore. I mean, the speed that's on Sean Breisman, this has got to be feeling very good for this 46 team. And Wesley, I would imagine Sean Breisman is going to be on the top of our list for picks when we go into the Cup and Trucks here on Monday night and Wednesday night.
Sean Breisman, without a doubt, doing exactly what he needs to do to figure these cars out. And here's the thing, Samuel, as we come to 10 laps to go. Lap traffic, Frank Harris, James Vining in front of the leaders. This might make things interesting, or do they just get out of the way? But here's something to think about. As we come to 10 laps to go, these cars are not like the Cup or Truck cars that are on the Northwest Big Series. But you can take a lot of the fuel runs, the strategy, the setup, if you will. Even though these cars are different, you can use that virtually for your races on Monday and Wednesday, and I think that's what these guys will do for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for the ARCA cars, they're really well known for throttle control, how well you get back onto the throttle and how much are you wheeling this thing. And, you know, we've been watching a lot whenever we do onboards with these cars on the fact that there hasn't been a lot of, you know, when the tires in those first 20 to 30 laps, 20 laps into a run, you're not really wheeling the car so much. But for a lot of these drivers, they pitted around lap 60, so they're going to be on the tail end of how well their car's going to be feeling coming to the end of this race. So for that, Sean Breisman, he's come up to some drivers that we've seen have issues, such as, you know, James Vining and Frank Harris. We saw Harris get into the wall just about, 10, 15 laps ago. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe the pressure of the leader being on his back bumper could be causing some issues for these drivers. But for Harris, I'd imagine on his mindset, he has to get by James Vining. If he does that, gets by the 333, we're going to be seeing a two-way tie for that 8th place position that would be at the cutoff line. And that's exactly where we want to be seeing, Harris be battling, trying to get into those top 8 here late, actually kind of in the middle of this first round of the round of 12 in the playoffs for the ARCA.
Under 10 laps to go, 9 remaining. Frank Harris trying to stay on the lead lap. But here comes Sean Breisman. Just like the Shining. Here's Johnny. Here's Sean. He's coming after him. And Frank Harris, better look out. There's Robert Campbell. He's another car that's looking to possibly go a lap down. 2 cars in front of the leaders. Sink or swim time, Samuel, as they go to the west end of the speedway in turn number 3 to the short chute at Indy.
Yeah, 8 laps to go, soon to be 7 once Breisman crosses the line. And for that, Sean Breisman, he really isn't in a moment where he needs to put these drivers a lap down. He's got over a 10.5 second gap lead over that of Dennis Moore. So if Sean wanted to, he could just sit behind and just watch the battle, really, and have a show for these final 7 laps to go. And it's going to be a battle between these two. James Vining, Frank Harris, 8th and 9th in points currently as they're battling for 8th place on track.
Harris inside, looking after Vining. Boy, oh boy, Samuel, if there's going to be a caution, it might be these guys. They're getting a little impatient. They're racing amongst each other. They're racing to stay on the lead lap. They're racing to keep the leader behind them. And they were also fighting their cars a moment ago into 3 and off 2.
Yeah, I mean, if this was 15 laps ago, maybe if I was Sean Brightsman, I'd get closer to these drivers and get racy and try to make these passes. But with 7 coming to 6 laps to go, I would not want to be close to either one of these drivers of Vining or that of Harris as we're riding on board with Sean Brightsman in the 46, getting a sense of how these drivers get to attack a lap around Indy. 6 laps to go as your leader. A great point of view of the battle for 8th place on track, but if they make a mistake, the 46 is right in the window of being collected in this if there is a wreck of those 2 drivers in front of them.
Six to go. On board with Sean Brightsman, the leader. He says, here, kitty, 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 kitty. Here to both of them, Harris and Vining. He's going for a 2-for-1 special. And Samuel, he ain't worried about Dennis Moore because right now he's still got a 10.5-second lead as he plays cat and mouse with these 2 lap cars in front of him. He's still picking off the leader, Moore, and Moore's still far behind. 5 to go. Open hand from your flagman. Milton Barney 5 Jr. Jr.'s got to do some work. He ain't been doing a lot of flagging since he waved the green linen about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, 5 laps to go, and also we are now in the window. If a yellow waves, we would be going into overtime. So the drivers right now gotta be keeping their eye out on one another. They don't want to be bringing out a yellow, and if you do bring out a yellow, make sure you're on the lead lap, as right now that first car a lap down gonna be Aaron Cooper. But you said of Frank Harris, James Vining, they're on the tail end of the lead lap, and they've got the leader right on their back bumper as we're coming closer and closer to 4 laps to go. You know, this is one of the closest racing battles that's going on. But, I mean, we're keeping our eye on it because Harris is getting close to the outside wall, and here comes Brightsman with a launch, giving a bump draft to the 11. Ooh, you don't want to do that in these ARCA cars.
Impatience. Gotta wonder what's going on there, and he still can't get him. Sean Brightsman, boy, I'm telling you, Samuel, he ain't caught these cars yet. And Harris and Vining, they're not going to give it up easy.
No, not at all. I think right there, Brightsman was thinking about the fact, I don't think he expected that big of a charge in closing rate to come. I mean, when you're the leader, yes, you just want to stay behind these lap cars, but if you get that big of a run, you got to utilize that speed. Get by the lap car. Try to get yourself away from these drivers as we're right on the back bumper. Frank Harris getting a good shot of our leader as we're coming closer and closer to 3 laps to go. Wesley, this is got to be nerve-wracking both for Frank Harris and for Brightsman because both of them are hoping neither one of the drivers makes a mistake here with 3 laps to go.
Brightsman inside, outside on the back deck lid of the car of Harris. You're looking at him on the inside. Boy, the first second he's going to go below the apron. Holds him off. Up the straightaway, down the back stretch here. And it's down to the shootout. Caution flag free here tonight in round 2 of the playoffs for ARCA Northwest at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Who'd have thunk it? They might have called my bluff. They might go to the finish with no problem, Samuel. And the question is, my friend, will we see this in Cup and Trucks on Monday and Wednesday of next week for the Northwest Stars? Whoa!
Ooh.
Harris
well, if,
to the inside. He lets
like
Brightsman get him.
If we see Harris racing like that, we might not be staying green in either one of those series or even in this one, as it's now coming to 2 laps to go. All that Sean Brightsman wants to see is that white flag, but he's stuck on the outside, finally going to be making the pass by the lap car, Frank Harris. But man, was that a heartbreaking moment that could have came to Sean Brightsman, luckily surviving, and now on the backstretch. Just a half a lap to go to get that white flag, and for Sean Brightsman to get his first win in the ARCA Series.
He said, my goodness, let me get out of here unscathed. West end of the speedway. He's in turn 3 through the short chute. Lap traffic of James Vining about 8 car lengths in front of him. He'll work his way off of turn number 4. He'll come down to the start-finish line. The CRN 1 to go. Samuel Dyer, 1 more lap to go as he crosses the yard of bricks.
As here comes that of Sean Bridesman up front, been one of the most dominating cars all day. It's your CRN 1 to go. As go to wearecrn.com for more information. But Sean Bridesman got it, feeling comfortable for himself.
Yes, sir. Man, if you're listening at CRN to the night's race, Northwest Cup and Truck on Monday and Wednesday. And oh my goodness, man, what a football game tonight it was. One for the ages. Down the back straightaway, final time. Sean Bridesman ready to go flag to flag here at Indianapolis. Just 2 more turns to go. The Puyallup, Washington native, originally now from Tucson, Arizona, looking to dominate here in the virtual Hoosier State for the final time at a turn 4.
In the Northwest iRacing Series, it's been Sean Bridesman winning the most out of them, but for the first time in the ARCA Series, Sean Bridesman gets to hoist it, getting his win here at the Indy Oval. It's Sean Bridesman in the 46.
Rest of the field coming across the start-finish line. Second spot to Dennis Moore. Third, Kevin Smith. Here comes now 4th and 5th, Ryan Bloom. Jeff Stabnow with another decent run. 5th on the lead lap, and everyone else is there. And Samuel, how about Robert Gamble staying on the lead lap, holding off the driver of Sean Bridesman to have another good finish for him as well?
Yeah, Robert Gamble had a great battle for himself, and Toby Ritter's ahead. James Vining in 8th place. Him and Frank Harris, we got to see them duking it out for those final 8 laps. And man, I bet for Sean,
what
he
is Sean
finally
doing?
could take a deep breath for himself.
Wait a minute. What is Sean doing? Sean, where are you going? You better not go to below the bottom of the racetrack apron. Not come to the. We got to get ready for it. You know what's coming. It's been a caution flag-free race all night long. We got to have a very good Northwest high-five salute. Sorry, Charles, I about dropped the bomb there. I'm glad I called onto that handbook. And look at the celebration about to begin for the 46.
Hey, it's the burn it down for now, but we all know what's coming. It's the end of the race destruction derby for these drivers, and it's going to be a good one. Oh, there goes already the
Kevin
first
Smith.
hit.
Oh, and this is what I love about these ARCA cars. They actually destroy it, come apart. I love it. I love it.
His wheel is gone. His right wheel is completely off of the 46 machine.
Kevin Smith is coming back. I mean, I wish we could have a virtual demolition derby, dude. Look at that. Oh, my God. Look at him fly through the air. Robert Gamble, Kevin Smith. Look at Ryan Bloom. This is like the greatest wreck ever at Indianapolis.
They're in the ARCA cars. They're using their true ARCA brakes here at the end for sure.
Yes. You're going to go all out. What is that? The skull? The skull for the Vikings when they make that noise? Never mind.
Yeah, the horn they get to.
Oh, yeah, go Steelers. Yeah. Frank Harris with a nice little T-bone there. All right, we hope you enjoyed at least some type of crash in there. Hashtag fake news. Caution free, but we did at least tear some stuff up at the end.
That we certainly did, as here's your unofficial racing results. All green all the way. Sean Bridesman getting the victory here for the 4016. Dennis Moore in 2nd place. Kevin Smith in 3rd. We'll talk to our top 3 here shortly with Ryan Bloom in 4th. Chad of Jeff Stabnow in 5th. W. Ritter's top 10 finish for the 23 team in 6th position. Robert Gamble in 7th. James Vining going to be in 8th, staying on the lead lap as Frank Harris able to hold on for 9th, but you wish he was on the lead lap with Aaron Cooper. Tried the similar strategy as Jeff Stabnow. Didn't work out as well for the 71, but a 10th place finish for Aaron Cooper.
All right, there you go. Judd Wakefield to finish 11th. Troy Daggett 13th. All these cars several laps down. Carl Burke almost 39 laps down in 13th. Scott Hutchinson 73 laps down. And tough break for Daryl Tidrick. He didn't even take the green flag to start this race. So at least an attempt of 15 cars trying to make this race. Tidrick didn't take the green, and so that's the way it runs down. By the way, unofficial race results are as always presented by sawblade.com.
And after seeing our racing results, we're going to step aside real quickly here. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to our top three, Sean Breisman, Dennis Moore, and Kevin Smith. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Northwest ARCA Series presented by Tom Mitchell Auto Group. And honestly, tonight has been all green all the time. And we didn't get to see too many wrecks until the finale there, where drivers got to have fun. But man, it was all Sean Breisman up front. But before we talk to our victor, we got two other drivers to get to first. We're going to start things off with that of Kevin Smith. Kevin, you won last week. You know the pressure's off on having great runs for, the rest of the round of 12. But, hey, a top three finish for yourself. You showed a lot of speed, biggest mover of the day, up 7 positions. But give us your thoughts of tonight's race.
Yeah, my thought is this. Sean basically stole the show there. He was incredibly fast, and I knew he was going to be tough. I knew Dennis was going to be tough, and just super happy to podium and come back after last week and have a strong finish.
I tell you what, Kevin, obviously, what can you take as far as a learning book going into the races for Cup in trucks here at Indy next week that you can use as a podium for tonight in the ARCA race?
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw a little bit of strategy there with Sean. I mean, there's something to be learned there. Maybe that we're going to go green and not a lot of cautions. I ran kind of the 3 stages a little bit differently in terms of pace because I kind of wanted to see what that would look like. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to learn if you're paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin, we know that you're locked into the round of 8, but there's still 2 more races to go, Iowa and Atlanta. How are you feeling about Iowa next week?
Yeah, Iowa, it's kind of a mixed bag. If I'm going to do well there, have a good finish, I'm going to need to put in a little bit of time. So I'll kind of have to make that decision and see what we want to do there. But yeah, it's an okay track for me. But if I want to do well, I got to put some time in.
Well, Kevin, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to thank my team, Thunder Road Racing. I want to thank West Coast Goalkeeping, Tom Denchel Auto Group, TomDenchelAutoGroup.com. If you're in the market for a new or pre-owned ride, we've got those for you. Lots of vehicles in inventory, lots of Ram trucks if you're in the market for one of those. And then LSRTV, you guys are fantastic. These broadcasts are just absolutely amazing, and what you do for this sport is great. So thanks for putting us on the map and putting us out there for folks. And congratulations to Sean. Great race there, Sean. And Dennis, good run for you too. Thank you.
That's Kevin Smith in the 00 third place finish for himself. Congratulations, Kevin, and good luck throughout the next of the week, for the rest of this week, I should say, as we're still at the Indy Oval for the Cups and Trucks coming up Wednesday and Monday night.
Thank you.
As we'll now move over to second place, Dennis Moore in the 44. Dennis, you came up shy, but I mean, what else could you have done? Were you expecting to see Sean stretch it out as far as he did there on that final stop?
On the first run, I thought he went out a little hot, and I thought I'd catch him after about 15 laps, but he held his pace, and I was searching for lines that just couldn't find any more speed or gain anything on him. And then when he pit early, I was like, what is he doing? I thought it was a two-stop race. I thought with 5-lap newer tires after coming out, I'd catch him. I ran him down to 7 seconds from 13, but the tire fall off wasn't as much as I thought it'd be.
Dennis, this race went caution-free. Were you expecting that to possibly happen? And even though you do finish in the second position, can you take anything from this race to prepare for what we have in the playoffs for Cup and Truck that you're a part of on Wednesday and Monday?
Yeah, absolutely. Our sets definitely got to be for the long run. This race, there's only 15 drivers, I think, so I kind of expected to go green for the most part, if we didn't have a caution in the first 10 laps. But the truck has to be for a long run set, so and that's what we'll do. Fuel strategy, I don't think you'll be able to make it at one stop, so we'll see what happens when that comes around.
I mean, Dennis, we've seen throughout all three series the weather changing from each race that you go to. How much was the weather, did you feel like, was a factor here tonight?
I thought the track got a little slicker, but not too much. I think our lap times were comparable on both runs, or all three runs. I was running the same lap time, so I don't think it affected that much. If anything, the qualifying, the wind, I think, really held us up, because we were running 2s and 3s, and we ended up with 8s. So I think the wind slowed us down a little bit in qualifying, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, weather can change a lot of things in lots of different places. Well, Dennis, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys, first of all, LSRTV, all the admins of Northwest Racing Series, Jeff, Sean, James, and Robert Gamble for putting this series on. It's been a lot of fun. Nicole and Brian, photography, and all the guys at Beaver State Racing. And also, let's not forget Tom Denchel Auto Group. We really appreciate those guys.
Yeah, we can never forget Dental Auto Groups. Again, they've got inventory when needed. Right now, Dennis, good luck for the rest of the playoffs for the ARCA series. 2 very consistent runs going to Iowa next week. And as well, good luck for the rest of the week here at Indy Oval.
I appreciate it.
Dennis Moore in the 44, second place finish for himself. As we'll move to victory lane, we got Sean Breisman in the 46 there. Sean, explain that first pit stop, because you had everyone scratching their head why you came in so early.
Sam, it was just about, running a road course, right? Usually a lot of times when you run a road course, you run it backwards. So I figured once I was safe, if we got a green-white checker, I would run fuel strategy out to that. So once I got to lap 25, figured we'd pit and, try to jump the people behind us.
Sean, obviously, my friend, bottom line, you didn't have to run this ARCA race. Why did you run tonight? And obviously, this is a lot of seat time to prepare for, obviously, the opportunity to win Cup and Trucks, and you've got some titles to defend.
I'm just trying to support what Rob and James are doing here with the ARCA series. It's, they're the ones who put it on. We, as admins and everything like that, we're not really a part of it. And with the playoffs here, we want to try to create some extra points for people. So the more people that show up, the more people that race, the more the playoffs can be affected. And so we came out tonight to try to do that and kind of learn for Monday and Wednesday night in the Cup and Trucks. So struggled last night in practice, and this really helped.
Yeah, and Sean, before we let you go, my last question for you. When you were coming up to lap traffic there in those last couple of laps, what were you thinking? Were you thinking of just staying behind them, or was the goal to get by the lap cars in front of you?
For the first part of it, it was try to get by as quick as possible and see if I can catch him. To be honest, if I have a target ahead of me, it's worth going for. Once I got there, I didn't really want to mess up that battle with Frank and James were having. So was just kind of watching, seeing what was happening. Maybe I'll take some of those notes I saw, pass them over to Frank, and let him know what he was doing wrong there to potentially get by James.
And I love to give advice to all the drivers here in the development series. Sean, before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
I got to thank the car sponsor night, Brian Vickers Throwback here to Orida. But also got to thank our big sponsors, Brights Boutique. Check us out at etsy.com/shop/Brights Boutique for custom handmade.
Time interviewing our top road to a commercial break. We will be right back here on LSRTV.
Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, right? Our Ram trucks, truck of the year, amazing trucks. We have fun Jeeps, and then the exciting Dodge and Chrysler products. Lots of performance there, lots of excitement there. They've done a great job in really creating a full scope product line that could suit everybody's needs. Whether it's a family vehicle or a fun vehicle or a utility type vehicle or a big truck, we've got it all for our customers.
Welcome back to the booth. My name is Sam Dyer with Wesley Outland. Wesley, rocking the hats here at the end. You got the comments. I got the Josh Johnson making it into the playoffs comments. Doing a great job,
You heard it tonight on CRN, the Community Radio Network. I know you're a San Francisco Giants fan, but I'm a Comets fan from Clayton. Me and Kevin Stump, Kim Winslow had an awesome football broadcast. It was a great defensive game. I never seen so many fumbles in a football game in my life. New turf field, Clayton won 7-0. Check out the archive when you're checking out the archives for the Northwest Cup and Truck Series in the playoffs this week. Check out the football game. But, yes, I got to wear my Comets hat, man. I'm Comets all in, like you like the Giants. Yes.
Hey, some people have bad hair days, and I felt like a hat was going to save me for this broadcast. But, man, what couldn't save the guys?
Yeah, I've been wearing a headset for the last, 5-6 hours since, 5 o'clock Eastern tonight. So, yeah, I guess, my hair does look bad.
But, man, Wesley here tonight, a lot of these drivers didn't get to see that yellow flag at all. It was green all the way. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest surprise for a lot of us here tonight was the fact that it was green all the way for the whole entire 90 laps.
And I thought about this. Who was your pick? You know who my pick was? My pick was Sean Brightsman.
I don't even think we made picks.
No. I don't think we made picks tonight either. But, man, look. And the thing is you heard what Sean said. I really don't need to be here. I'm just here to have fun. I'm just here for the party. I'm here so I don't get fined. He did really, really good. He's supporting what is the Northwest ARCA Racing Development Series. And, again, it is an opportunity for up-and-coming drivers that want to get involved in the Northwest Cup and Truck Series to get that knowledge, to get that type of, atmosphere of what it's like running this race. I did not think we were going to go caution free. It happened. And big kudos to everybody that was involved. They all raced clean. Yeah, we had problems with Harris having issues or Carl Burke or Judd Wakefield dirt tracking it, but they saved it. Scott Hutchinson was the only car that we really see come out of the race the entire event. But, man, when it's all said and done, Sean Brightsman wins. You take this knowledge, you use it towards your running for a championship. He's the defending Cup Series champion of the Northwest Series. Take that knowledge, take this opportunity tonight, as I said, a glorified sparring session, if you will, and use it for the races on Monday and Wednesday right here. And I think we'll talk to him in Victory Lane.
Yeah, Sean Brightsman's got to be the odds-on favorite for a lot of the races that are coming up, for the Cup and Truck. Monday night is the Cup. Wednesday night is the Trucks. But I loved from the interviews was when Sean said, you know what, I'm going to go talk to that of Kevin Franks. I'm going to give him information that he can learn from what some of the mistakes he was making for the race. That is the best thing about this development series is that those guys that have won a lot of races in the Cups and the Trucks, they can give that advice to the guys that are in the development league. And, it's going to help them through all three series.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're exactly right. And, of course, you said it yourself, Samuel. It is the drivers not just trying to be after me, I, but they're working to not only do what they got to do on the racetrack, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to win. Yes, it's a dog-eat-dog world. but they take their notes. They take what they learned from making these race runs and seeing what they did, successes, failures, and they worked with it with each other to say, okay, this is what I had from the race tonight. This is what you need to use or make some changes on for the next time you race on Monday or Wednesday or wherever we go. Indy was fun. Iowa's always exciting. Atlanta's going to be a barn burner. I love this different types of racetracks that we're seeing in the playoffs. It's like Lions, Tigers, and Bears, oh my, for the Northwest Racing playoffs for the Cup Truck and ARCA. You've got road courses, you've got short tracks, you've got the intermediate tracks, you've got the big tracks. Next week, you've got Iowa that races like a short track, but you could also run it like a super speedway. So it's going to be fun to see a lot of great races down the stretch until the round of 8 to the championship 4 to decide the champion at Phoenix.
Yeah, and honestly, it's going to be a blast to see how this develops moving forward. As we're going to take our final look at the Indianapolis Oval for the ARCA night. Here tonight, it was a blast to watch. We went green for all 90 laps, and it was Sean Breisman getting the gold at the end, getting to kiss the bricks, and Dennis Moore certainly put on his best show, but no driver is locked in except for Kevin Smith, who won last week, meaning there are 2 more races to go, 2 more chances to automatically lock in, but it's got to be all about consistency. That's going to be continuing on Friday nights, but for us on LSRTV, Monday night Cup, they're going to be back here, oval racing at Indy, and we get to see who might be the next driver to lock into the next round for the Cups if possible. But I want to give a big thanks to everyone involved. Wesley Outland for joining us. It was honestly a pleasure to watch these drivers go 90 laps green. We'll see if they can do it again Monday night. Well, thank you for joining us here on LSR TV for the Northwest ARCA Series. We'll see you Monday night, and have a good one for the rest of tonight as well.